This is a study. It's a special report from the MRS and the Royal Statistical Society. Now, as we go into it, they go into a very deep study of how, let's say, how data was used in a technological format to kind of give rise to statistics and analytics and the ability for people to use that to kind of impose whatever their will is. So let's continue. So let's go down 1936, 1954, 1957. We've talked a lot about a lot of the inventions that were used during this time that came up as a result of these times. So we're just going to keep going. Let me go down here. I believe it's right around here, 1969, 1971. Now, right around here, okay, where the heck is it? Here we go. Let's read this a bit. Seeing is the new asking. That's what Stephen Gons, Chief Insights and Analytics Officer at PepsiCo, constantly tells his colleagues. If you ask a mother or you ask a dad, what do you give your kid in his lunchbox that he takes to school? You can predict what the answer is going to sound like, says Gons, because the dad wants to be seen as a responsible dad. So there's some fruit, there's some this, there's some that. But by recording what actually happens using 24/7 cameras in people's kitchens, analyzed by artificial intelligence, researchers found that one conscientious father packed his son's lunchbox every day with carrots, fruits, and so on, and every day the boy came home with his lunchbox completely intact. The child found eating all those carrots took up too much valuable playtime, and he bought something quick to eat instead. You would have never learned that from the dad, says Gans. This, in a nutshell, is the problem with asking questions. People might tell you what they believe to be true or what they want to be true. The actual truth, though, may elude even the most diligent of interviewers. This is the irrational decisions that humans make. This is why, for example, you can't have an AI system that perfectly replicates a human, because you would then have to necessarily ask the AI system to act irrationally in order to behave like a human, even though it knows better from a rational standpoint, which makes the idea of having human aligned, valued AIs next to impossible, if not actually impossible. But here we go. Henry Durant, the first president of the Market Research Society, knew of these problems with survey-based data collection and warned about them in the 1950s. As we learned in some previous article that we don't have to read, as technology had developed and the data economy had evolved, seeing has become the new asking. Gee, does this sound familiar? John Ward, Vice President of Sales EMEA at eye tracking company Tobii, offers another example of direct observation being more informative than asking questions. A lot of people will say they're not price sensitive and then completely demonstrate price sensitive behavior when they are not being asked, because it's like saying, are you cheap? Of course I'm not cheap. Wearing Tobii's compact cameras, shoppers can go into physical stores and shop normally. With every detailed record for analysis, you see them go in, says Ward, and yes, they 100% are cheap. In the age of store cards and barcodes, collecting data on what people eventually buy is easy, but eye tracking analysis also reveals that the moment their eyes stop on the competitor brands, the two bottles they pick up, and even the glance between price per 100 ml on both brands, that clinches the deal. Analyzing what people look at online is easier still when volunteers put eye tracking cameras above their screens and give the researchers access to what they're viewing. Mike Follett, managing director at eye tracking company Lumen, thinks implicit observation techniques share three key advantages over asking questions explicitly. The first one is people don't know what they don't do. He says it is very hard to know that you definitely didn't see something. Given the fact that attention is selective, we have been ignoring the vast majority of human experience to focus on explicitly remembered actions and opinions. The second advantage is that people are very bad at accurately remember the things that they actually did do or see, even in situations as important as giving evidence in court. The third advantage, says Follett, is that when it comes to marketing, ads might be developed in isolation, but they're also seen in context. So making sure you serve up the experience to be as close to reality as possible, and then understand how attention works with that reality, is very important. Although 21st century technology allows observations to be filmed by cameras smaller than your thumb and analyzed by machine learning algorithms, implicit observation has its roots in methods from the 20th century and before. The first eye tracking was done by a human looking through a flap in a hoarding, hand sketching where passersby were looking. From the 1950s, behaviorist approaches became more popular as a way to understand human beings. Polymath Herbert Simon brought together his interests in psychology, economics, and computing to develop, let me see where it goes up here, the idea that simply observing what people do is a better guide to what they will do in the future than asking them explicitly. We may be rational, but our rationality is bounded by the finite amount of time and attention we have to spend. Today's data-driven consumer insight combines the kind of individual observation described above with aggregated data to see overall trends and behaviors. Media monitoring, the observation of what consumers are looking at, listening to, or reading, is as old as media. Every newspaper adverts offer discount coupons to find out how many readers of different newspapers paid enough attention to the advert to cut them out and use them. Nielsen, a research study group, a very popular one, found in 1923, pioneered automatic monitoring of a household's radio and television habits. Yes, in 1923, Nielsen was tracking your household radio and television habits, supplemented by diaries to track individuals within a household. They also pioneered indexes of retail sales data in the 1930s, combined with panels of consumers who recorded and later scanned their actual purchases, enabling advertisers to compare adverts seen with goods bought. Early point-of-system sales enabled larger stores and chains to track what was being bought directly. When American chain JCPenney first installed cash registers linked to mainframe computers at its distribution center in 1969, as well as speeding up customer transactions, the Arizona Republic reported the Glendale store manager knew, day by day, just what merchandise was being sold and how much. 1969! After the invention of the barcode in 1971, chains such as Walmart could track goods in enough detail to predict demand. Tesco was the first to offer shoppers a direct trade of discounts of data in 1995. Sign up for a club card and get targeted offers in return for letting the retailer observe your shopping habits. In the first year, 5 million people signed up. Edwina Dunn and Clive Humby, who devised and ran the club card, eventually sold their data company, Dunn Humby, to Tesco for more than 90 million euros, and that's in 1995-ish dollars. In the 1970s, marketing databases began to merge with another rich source of data. Oh, yummy! The credit report. Since the early 19th century, merchants have exchanged information on their customers to predict which ones might be a bad risk for settling their bills. The Manchester Guardian Society, founded in London in 1826, merged with mail-order giant GUS in 1996, and eventually became part of international credit bureau and data broker Experian. Does that sound familiar to anyone? A similar process saw American credit bureau Equifax expand into the field of marketing by acquiring data companies and demographic modeling software. Now, it could segment people not only into creditworthy and uncreditworthy, but also into marketing categories such as an upper crust and living off the land. Geodemographics, the ability to sort people into demographics and consumer categories linked to where they lived, emerged in the 1970s from newly available computer-readable census information. The Claritas Corporation, founded in 1971, sorted Americans into 40 types, and here we have intersectionality at its roots, including money and brains and hard Scrabble. Meanwhile, in the UK, social scientist Richard Webber used the 1971 census to study inner-city deprivation in Liverpool. His classification of residential neighborhoods (CRN) system formed the basis for the ACORN system, later used by data company Cocky. The social segmentation used experimental work being done within companies and independent agencies.